So I've been playing TF2 for quite some time now. I've seen many game modes and servers rise and fall, and as more and more of our casual matches are plagued by bots, battles incompetency for a proper VAG system, and many other issues, I decided to make a little series of where people are missing out in the amazing world of community servers, and hopefully showcasing some amazing communities out there that are still very much active, or have been forgotten, and just showcasing the history of it. Hopefully bringing some fun and some cheer to the TF2 community. So in today's episode, we're going to be going over the old school as hell game mode of versus Saxton Hale.
Let's get this over with. There's a white shark waiting for me in my office.
So getting into some history, this game mode was actually a mod of Arena Mode that was created by Dr. Eggman and the Random Fortress community all the way back in October of 2010. So yeah, we're talking older than most of Fortnite's player base. And yeah, it's pretty insane here. Now, I won't go the stretch and say that the game mode is forgotten, as there is a well-established and present active community, as you can definitely see from my gameplay today. However, like with many game modes of Team Fortress 2, it's definitely safe to say that it's well past its heyday. Versus Saxton Hale is essentially a game mode where you go against an insanely overpowered target, whether it be Saxton Hale, the Christian Brutal Sniper, the Horseless Headless Horseman, or the oh my god, the Vagineer. Yeah. So, some of these bosses have special abilities that allow them to have an advantage when they're outplayed by the massive human resources that the other team has. For example, the Horseless Headless Horseman is actually able to teleport behind targets when he has activated his rage meter, which, again, I'll get into more of this information a bit later, and wreak havoc on the team. Also, I should mention, as I said before, that this is a mod for Arena Mode. So if you are killed, you're basically done until the next round starts. So that gives your team an insanely huge incentive to work together. And if you're big on that team part of Team Fortress 2, this might be the game mode for you. So first off, your strategies are definitely going to depend on the map that you're playing on. If it's more of an open space map, then I would definitely recommend classes like Sniper, Scout, and maybe more of a roaming playstyle for Soldier. However, the map is more closed in and doesn't have too much space to mess around with. I would actually recommend classes that are more up and personal. Maybe heavies, maybe pyros, definitely have to be very solid at their class. But honestly, I would honestly recommend Engineer. Engineer is the all-around amazing class, definitely S tier of the versus Saxton Hale meta. Engineers are amazing not just because of their ability to put out high amounts of damage with their sentry gun, but their ability to help their team. Dispensers are huge in Arena Mode as ammo packs, health kits are very scarce in a lot of maps for Arena Mode, and since this is a mod for Arena Mode, Engineer's your guy. Now, Engineer's an awesome choice because if you're able to play the class effectively, in the case of maybe doing some cheeky sentry positions, maybe using some sentry jumps with the Wrangler, the Rescue Ranger, or if you're able to play more of an aggressive playstyle with mini sentries, but still being able to support your teammates, and also being able to place teleporters in order to have a quick escape, honestly, Engineer's your guy. Very solid pick. I've definitely seen Engineers single-handedly carry matches. So, let's get on to some other classes. Other classes that I recommend trying would definitely include Scout for his mobility and his ability to play more of a hit and run sort of playstyle, maybe more of a guerrilla warfare. Honestly, Scout's fantastic option. Spy is amazing, not just for being able to be a nuisance to Hale with the Dead Ringer, but also being able to put huge amounts of damage with well-timed backstabs. Now, Brass Beast Heavies are honestly amazing with solid Engineers. If you're able to just basically camp near a dispenser and a sentry nest for an Engineer, holy cow, you can put out insane amounts of damage. You're basically just acting as a second sentry gun for an Engineer. Very awesome. Now, a Medic is kind of an interesting case. Would I recommend the Kritzkrieg? Well, crits are honestly, in a lot of the game modes, you can actually get crits just by taunting. I know it's kind of a weird mechanic for versus Saxton Hale, but if you just taunt, you can actually just get like a couple seconds of crits, so I really wouldn't recommend Kritzkrieg. But what I would recommend is, obviously, the stock Medigun. Having Uber charges and being able to save your teammates from impeding danger is very important. Another interesting playstyle that I've actually seen is with medics doing the Uber chain. Of course, both medics have Uber saws and both medics have mediguns. One medic goes in and goes for the melee hits and builds up his Uber, then Uber charges the other medic, and the other medic just goes and hits the Saxton Hale and basically able to put out insane amount of damage just by being an absolute nuisance in that sort of way. Now, Pyro is kind of an interesting class when it comes to versus Saxton Hale. He's up close and personal, but honestly, if you are very skilled at Pyro, maybe with flares, honestly flares, if you want to get your long distance, I would recommend flares actually, and if you're able to put out well-timed air blasts, Pyro's your guy. He can be pretty effective. I've seen some really effective Pyro mains out there who are able to wreck versus Saxton Hale servers with amazing gameplay. It's just that most of the time, if you're not as experienced with Pyro, it doesn't end very well. So, if you're decent enough at the class, honestly I would recommend it. It's an interesting sort of playstyle. So let's say that you're playing as Hale, or playing as any of the other characters that I discussed earlier. What kind of strategies would you like to use? What kind of strategies would you use? Now honestly, it's kind of a difficult thing to say in video because there are honestly many different kinds of characters out there, especially in servers like Freak Fortress, where the 4 that I mentioned are not the only ones out there, and there are others with many of their own special abilities and all that good stuff. But if I was to recommend a sort of, I don't know, a sort of like all-intensive cure-all, I guess, like the best sort of solution to playing Hale, I would recommend playing as kind of like a scout, as I discussed before, playing that hit and run sort of tactic. And the reason is because when you are playing as Hale, your health is the most important resource you have. So being able to conserve that health and being able to just pick out key targets ahead of time is honestly very great. It's the best sort of strategy that you can do because that just keeps you alive, gives you incentive to just stay alive, all that sort of good stuff. Now, as I kind of mentioned before, Hale actually developed something called a rage meter. So what happens is, as you take damage, you can actually activate your sort of rage, and you press E, which is calling for medic, and you activate your rage, and you basically scare everyone in a certain radius around you. And this is great for going up against engineer nests. This is essentially the poison to engineers. This is the way to destroy those NG nests, and honestly you don't really get too many of these calls, so you have to have some strategy and some good timing in order to effectively use this sort of rage meter to the best of your abilities. And honestly I would recommend it for engineers. Probably next I would say Uber chain medics, they can be very annoying, and next I would probably have to say scouts. Very talented scouts out there can be difficult to hit, and honestly using the rage meter on them, no shame in doing that if you assess your situation well. So in accordance with other strategies of Saxton Hale, I really just can't recommend anything else. I think that you guys really need to just play the game mode for yourself. There are a lot of strategies, a lot of different game styles that you guys will develop, and it's very complex. It's very cool. I think you guys will enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of teamwork. If you guys are big into that teamwork thing, this is definitely the game mode for you. Even if you're kind of into the lone wolf sort of aspect, honestly, there's a place for you in this game as well. And guys, that's gonna about wrap it up for today. If you guys have any other recommendations that you want to talk about in the comment section below, anything that I didn't really cover, please let me know. I would appreciate that a lot. And if you guys want to recommend any other game modes for me to talk about in future videos, also put that in the comment section below. Appreciate that a lot. And as always, guys, I wish you guys have the best, wonderful, amazing rest of your day, and stay healthy, be good to others, and as always, take it easy, guys.